How's it going, everybody? David Hedge here, House Hedge Gaming, and today is the Gen Con 2023 recap video. Now, full disclosure, I've tried to record this a couple times already, but truth is, I'm not going to be able to read this from a script. I had stuff written out, and I was like, okay, I can hit all these bullet points, and I still am going to try and hit all those bullet points, but I'm just going to basically just let it flow and just go from there and just have a conversation. So, without any further ado, let's just get into it. And first off, I do want to hit some of the stuff that came up a bit negative, but luckily turned out to be better towards the end of the event, and just get those out of the way. So first off, the Lorcana, going ahead and talk about it. The game itself is a lot of fun. I was able to demo that. A great amount of fun to be had in that game. Really well designed. Love the artwork. However, the excitement about it definitely hit a fever pitch on Thursday morning. There was miscommunication between Ravensburger and Gen Con that caused a bit of a pushing, shoving match to get to the Ravensburger booth first thing on Thursday, which definitely left a bad taste in players' mouths about the experience trying to get to Lorcana. Luckily, Gen Con and Ravensburger were able to work on that, and they did overnight lines, which definitely helped out, and they didn't really see that kind of issue happen the rest of the weekend. So, like, thumbs up to Ravensburger and to Gen Con for being able to correct that to make sure that kind of situation did not arise again. Next, my thoughts on the two dodos that took $300,000 worth of Magic product from Gen Con. Long story short, at the recording of this video, they have your names, they have your faces. You're going to get caught. Hope it was worth it. Good luck with the Commander Masters. Finally, the big thing that everybody was talking about towards the end of Gen Con was the crowds. There were a lot of people there. And it's great to see Gen Con getting back to pre-COVID levels and possibly hitting record attendance. But it did cause a lot of discomfort in the exhibit hall. There were a lot of times where it was like shoulder to shoulder and you were bumping into people left and right. And then when you include people with backpacks and carts and everything, I'll be honest with you, I got hit more times in that exhibit hall than I did in the ring the past 3 years. So it's definitely something that hopefully Gen Con and Indy will be able to work together to try and expand the exhibit hall a little bit more to accommodate for the masses that are coming in each and every time now. Because I think it was about 85,000 people that were there this year. And next year is probably going to be even more than that. So hopefully they can find some more space for everybody. All right, with all that being said, let's just start talking about everything else. So first off, the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall was, a lot of the booths were really well done. Some of the booths that stood out, Upper Decks with the tribute to the boys and the Pantheon of Heroes, which was pretty cool. eBay had a great booth with a castle with a fire-breathing dragon. The Op had a bunch of beach huts set up to promote the Perfect Wave. And there were a lot of really great booths this year, but the one thing that actually caught me off guard was that there was no presence for Magic the Gathering. This being the 30th anniversary, I would have expected more, but unfortunately, they didn't have anything outside of a panel discussing what was coming up for the following year and a half, 2 years. They had the Commander Masters celebration, and they had the Wizards of the Cones ice cream truck. I really wish they could have done something more with promoting the 30th anniversary, like have a section of Lucas Oil Stadium or just a room dedicated to some of the artifacts and statues and all for Gen Con. They didn't need to do a full-blown presentation, just something to show, hey, we know where we came from. This is our appreciation to everybody who has stood by us for 30 years. And they didn't have that. So hopefully maybe they can have something in the future. And I know they do the Magic Cons, so everybody can go to those. But I was really hoping they would have had something at Gen Con this year. But oh well. I was able to try a bunch of different games this year at Gen Con, which I checked those off the bucket list. And some of them, yeah, were demos I had to get scheduled. Others I was able to do in the hall once everything started to get freed up. A lot of the demo areas were just completely taken up a majority of the time just because of how many people were at the event. But the games I played were really great. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Slaughterhouse from Funko Games in Prospero Hall. Actually, no, Prospero Hall is also who did Avatar: Crossroads of Destiny. But the Slaughterhouse game, if you're a horror movie fan, this is a game to definitely check out. One player plays the Sawyers, the other players play the Trespassers. Sawyers have the ability to just take out the Trespassers. The Trespassers, there's 5 different scenarios to play through, so you're never really playing through the same game twice, at least the first 5 times. But there's different ways to go around the scenarios and everything. And it was a great time had at that demo. The only problem was the person doing the demo was doing 4 other demos at the time, so they kept bouncing around all over the place. So they just gave us a very, very short description of what to do, but didn't tell us how to get there. So I was able to go through the rule book with another person. We were able to piece together, and then from that point, everything went well. The other game from Funko was the Avatar: Crossroads of Destiny game. That one, it's an entirely different game, more family friendly, but it was a storybook game that really puts you into the like that world of Avatar, and being able to choose one of the main characters and being able to use the wind currents to travel, use water to do attacks, to use earth bending to just throw rocks at your opponents was just so cool. And being able to go through that first bit of the storyline for Avatar was just really neat to be able to step foot into that world. And it's an easy way to do it, and it's an inexpensive way too. So if you're looking for like games to add to your collection that are also budget friendly, both that one and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game are $30 each, and it's really good. The person we had for the demo for Avatar was a lady by the name of Nicole. I got to talk to her a little bit before everybody else got there, and she was a delight. She was a pleasure to talk to, and she gave us the full overview of the game, and she did very well with the demo. And at the end, I got her to sign one of my cards in my Hobbit deck, and she went, "Here, I'm going to add a little something to make sure you remember which game you played." And so she signed her name, and then she went, "Yip, yip," which was the call for Appa in Avatar, and I was like, yes! And it was really cool for her to do that, and she didn't have to, but she did, and she was awesome. So said before, I got to play the Lorcana game, which again, I hope I can get a hold of that game. It was a whole lot of fun, and being able to just see the different characters come to life in that game and how it plays out is really well done for them, and hopefully it does really well for future years to come. But the other Disney game I was able to play was Villainous and participate in the first tournament for that. That Villainous crew, you can tell how much they love that game. They were like proud parents, and watching the kid just go out to school for the first time and just watching this game that they have developed become a tournament game, because there's so many different villains to choose from and so different combinations that you are able to do a tournament with it. And I'm really glad they were able to do this. It was a whole lot of fun to play. I played the first round of it, and unfortunately my opponent could not make the second day, so they just gave me the win. But we still played it out, and then of course the second day I lost, because Ursula can get a crown of Trident and I can't throw Robin Hood in jail and get a bunch of power to boot. But it was a whole lot of fun, and I will definitely play in any Ravensburger Villainous game tournament that they put up. If I can get to it, I'll do it, because it was just a blast. And they really knew how to treat everybody very well for that event. Another thing from the weekend was a plethora of TCGs that came across. Lorcana got a lot of the attention this year, but there are some that I will be spotlighting on here later on that were definitely a lot of fun to play, and I was very fortunate to be able to talk to all the developers that were with them. I gave them cards so I can keep in touch with them, because I do want to get out there just how well these games are made. And if you're looking for an alternative in a TCG, like, this is where to do it. The games that came across were Primal, which is basically Naruto-esque type gameplay. You had Mythic, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! First season before all the different summons that you can do. It was basically like first years of Yu-Gi-Oh! Type gameplay. You had Nostalgics, which plays like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon together. And then you had Legion's Realms at War, that was undoubtedly my favorite TCG out of the 4. just because of how unique the gameplay was and how everything was set up. And all these I'll definitely spotlight more in a upcoming video. But outside of that, a few other things that stood out. True Dungeon, I want to talk about them because they made me feel like family. And it was so cool to be a part of that. I have not been able to be a part of that in quite some time. As soon as I went in there for my meeting on Wednesday to just know what I was doing that day and that weekend, I felt like I was at home. And that's weird because I've only been playing True Dungeon for just a couple years. And I got to do bag check. And with bag check, it was really cool because that was for players that have been playing for a long time and that are levels 8 and 9 and above, and players who are part of the Adventurers Guild. Which the way you get that is that you either spend a good amount and earn it through the store, or you can buy the badge, either way, but a lot of people don't know about that. So a lot of people I dealt with were people that have played for a good number of years. And I got to hear all the stories behind it. And I got to see everybody basically coming together, and it was basically like a family reunion. And just catching up with old friends after not seeing them for over a year or so. Which was very cool because it reminded me of old school tournaments. When I would travel to different events for like Raw Deal versus System, stuff like that. You would have that camaraderie together after seeing each other because you wouldn't see anybody for like a couple of tournaments. You go like, hey, how's everything going? Just start catching up with people. And that's the way it felt. It felt like that old school feeling. And I really enjoyed that. And plus, they know how to treat each other as far as new players coming in. They help out new players. Like the experienced players will help out new players. And I got to see that firsthand too. And I got to experience it because I was there for bag check on Saturday, and there were a couple spots open for a dungeon run for sealed for Beard's treasure, and I had one of the main guys running True Dungeon looked at me and was like, hey, have you done any dungeon runs this weekend? I was like, well, unfortunately, no, I didn't get a chance to get any tickets. And they looked at me and they're like, hey, go in there. Like, this gentleman's got an open ticket. He wants somebody to fill it. Go in there. And I was like, but I'm here by myself. And he's like, I got somebody to cover it. Go ahead. And come to find out, he was the one covering it. So I got to play Beard's treasure, which was a lot of fun to play. It was a short hour-long sealed event. And got to see do two combats and two strategy puzzle solving games, and it was a great deal of fun. I loved it. And at the end of it, the person that had the ticket that they bought, I tried giving them the chips that I got from it, and they just gave them to me, and they're like, no, you keep them. You deserve something extra. You've been busting your butt this weekend, and you've been giving everybody a smile, and you've been treating us terrifically. Like, you deserve something extra. And I'll never forget that. Like, that was just so cool to me. And plus, and you'll see in the Gen Con Hall video, one of the participants in the True Dungeon event gave me a module for the game, which was pretty cool. And I got tipped chips, which I didn't think was a thing. And just in general, they all were just so nice and awesome. And I cannot thank them enough. From the players to the staff of True Dungeon, that's something special. And I was very fortunate to be a part of it. And I would be happy to do it anytime that I can. I swear I would. Like, it was just so much fun. But the last thing I want to talk about for True Dungeon, from True Dungeon and from the weekend in general, is I want to thank all of you. Because of all of you, you made Gen Con for me something special. When I was heading up to Indy that weekend, on that Tuesday, I did not know what was going to happen. I was by myself. I was driving the car for 8-9 hours by myself. I didn't have a carload of friends, didn't have a carload of coworkers, and I didn't have my wife with me. And it felt so weird to do that. And I didn't know how it was going to unfold. But after I started posting videos and everything, there were so many comments that were coming through, and people watching the videos, and just shocked the heck out of me, to be honest. But what shocked me more than anything else was the fact that I got to meet some of you. And I'll include a list of everybody in the description below. But that's what caught me off guard, is that when I announced and when I said on a video, I was like, hey, if you see me, say hi. I never expected it. I honestly didn't, because there's like 70, 80,000 plus people at Gen Con. There's no way. And then Friday morning, I had somebody just yell, house, when I was going to the ICC. And I looked around and I'm like, that's a voice I've never heard before. And come to find out, it was Silas, the first person I met. And it was really cool to talk to him for a little bit. And then from that point, I had people come down to True Dungeon to see me. I ran the people in the exhibit hall. I ran the people at True Dungeon itself, because during Teardown, one of the people was like, hey, I saw your videos. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. And it just surprised living daylights out of me. And so between being able to see everybody there and commenting on videos, I felt like all of you were with me. And I cannot thank you enough for that, because you definitely made this Gen Con something memorable, and I will never forget that. So to everybody who watched the videos and everybody I met, it means a lot to me. More than you'll ever know how much that you made this event something special for me. And I thank you for that. All right, so there's my recap. That's just my perspective on what I did at Gen Con. And all I gotta say is I can't wait to do it next year. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and hopefully Cindy will join me. Hopefully we'll have some friends join us, and hopefully, most of all, you all will be able to join as well, because you definitely made this year something memorable, and I can't wait to meet all of you. And I owe some people some Commander games, and I cannot wait to cash those in next year. But thank you all so much for checking out this video, and if you like it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and let everybody know the House Hedge Gaming is here for all of your gaming needs. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and take care, my friends.